The city was silent. Snow fell from the dark sky like cold feathers. Streets were empty. Streetlights flickered. Everything looked dead. Jake walked alone on the frozen footpath. His hands were deep inside his jacket pockets. His fingers were numb. His face was pale. The cold was winning. He had no home now. He had lost his job 2 months ago. His small flat was gone last week, and today he had not eaten anything. No one looked at him. People passed by in warm coats and fast cars, but nobody saw the man dying in the cold. Jake sat on the side of the street near an old building. He pulled his knees close to his chest. His breath was white mist. He couldn't feel his legs anymore. His eyelids felt heavy. He was ready to sleep. Forever. Just then, he heard something. A soft voice. "You are freezing, human." "Take my heat." Jake opened his eyes slowly. A figure stood in front of him, a woman. Her clothes were torn and her hair was wild. She looked homeless, just like him. But there was something strange about her. Her skin glowed very softly, like warm glass. Her eyes were bright, not like a human's, and the air around her felt warm. She knelt beside him. Without waiting for his permission, she pulled him into a hug. Her arms were warm, no, more than warm. They were burning, but not in a painful way. It felt like life itself was hugging him. Jake wanted to push her away. But he couldn't. His body was too weak. His heart, though, felt alive. He whispered, "Who are you?" The woman smiled. "A stranger. Like you." Jake felt heat slowly return to his fingers. His chest stopped hurting. His vision became clearer. The woman's arms tightened around him. "I cannot stay long. They are looking for me, but you were dying. I could not let you die." Jake looked around. The snow still fell. But where they sat, the ground was dry. Steam rose from the snow near them. "You're not human," Jake said, his voice shaking. "No," she replied, "not fully. But I used to be loved. I used to have a name." "What happened?" "I helped someone." "My kind does not like that," Jake blinked. "You were punished." "For helping?" The woman nodded. "Yes, I was sent away. I hid here, on your earth, but now they're hunting me again. I am not safe. You are not safe." Jake suddenly felt afraid. He looked around, but the streets were still empty. "Who is hunting you?" The woman stood up. "People who do not like change or kindness." She held out her hand to Jake. He hesitated, then slowly took it. Her grip was strong but gentle. "Come," she said. "You need to live. I can help." Jake stood weakly. He followed her into a dark alley. They moved past closed shops and broken doors. Finally, they reached an old subway station, long abandoned. She opened a hidden metal gate and guided him inside. The tunnel was deep and quiet. Strange symbols were drawn on the walls. Inside, there was a small space, lit by soft orange lights that hung in the air, floating without wires. Jake sat down. The ground here was warm. "Is this magic?" he asked. The woman smiled. "No, just old science. Your world has forgotten it." Jake stared at her. "Why did you save me?" The woman paused. Her glowing eyes stared into his. "Because I know how it feels to be left in the cold." Jake looked down. His eyes filled with tears, but he quickly wiped them. "What's your name?" he asked. "I had many names," she said softly. "But you can call me Lyra." "Lyra, I'm Jake." "I know." Jake felt a chill again, but this time not from the cold. "How do you know my name?" Lyra looked away. "Because they showed me your face before I came to Earth." Jake's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, there was a loud humming sound. A deep vibration filled the air. Lyra stood up fast. "They're near. We have to move." Jake was frozen, not from cold this time, but from fear. "Who are they?" he asked again. Lyra turned to him. Her glowing hand touched his shoulder. "Not everything can be told now, Jake, but if you stay, you'll learn. If you run, you'll never know." Jake took a deep breath. He didn't know who this woman was. He didn't know what kind of world he had stepped into, but one thing was clear. She saved him, and now maybe he would save her too. The tunnel was quiet, but Jake's heart was loud. He sat on the warm ground, Staring at Lyra, her glowing hands moved across the air, drawing invisible shapes. Each shape lit up for a moment, then faded. "What are you doing?" Jake asked. Lyra didn't look at him. "I'm setting a heat field. It will hide us, for now." Jake looked around. The old subway tunnel was filled with strange things. Floating orbs, symbols on the wall. A broken machine that hummed like it was breathing. "This place," he whispered, "doesn't feel like Earth." Lyra turned to him. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked tired. "That's because it was never made for humans," she said. "This tunnel was part of the migration path, long ago, before your people even knew we were here." Jake stood slowly. "Migration? You mean aliens?" Lyra nodded once. "Yes, but not the kind you imagine. We don't come in flying saucers. We don't want to invade. We come because we are lost." Jake sat back down. His mind was spinning. "So, you really are from another planet?" "Yes. Which one?" Lyra looked up as if trying to see through the stone ceiling. "My home was near a dying star. We lived in cold. We learned to control heat to survive, but then a war began." Jake leaned in. "War?" Lyra's eyes dimmed. "Not of weapons? Of beliefs. Some of us wanted to help other species. Others believed we should stay hidden. I chose the wrong side." Jake listened quietly. Her voice was soft but strong, like a story told 1,000 times. "I helped a dying planet," she continued. "I gave them warmth. I gave them time. My own people called it a crime. So they took my power and sent me here." Jake's eyes narrowed. "But you still have power. You saved me." Lyra looked at her hand. It glowed weakly. "What you saw was only a fraction. I am fading." Jake felt something stir inside him. Not fear. Not even shock. Something else, he believed. "Her. You said they're hunting you," he said. "Who are they?" "They're not human," she answered. "But they wear human skin now. They control things from the shadows, technology, politics, security systems. They see Earth as a useful tool." Jake stood again. "And me? Why did you know my name?" Lyra hesitated. Then she walked to the wall and touched a symbol. The wall glowed. A square opened, revealing a floating screen. On it was Jake's photo older, with gray hair and dark eyes. He wore a uniform. Jake stepped back. "That's not me. Not yet," Lyra said. "But it was you in another path. In another future." Jake shook his head. "That's impossible." Lyra stepped closer. "Your life is at a crossroad. In the timeline where I never met you, you became a soldier. You worked for the ones who hunt my kind. You became like them." Jake looked at his own face on the screen. Cold, empty. "So, you came to stop that?" "I came to change something," she said. "But maybe it was you who changed me." Jake looked at her again. "Why me?" Lyra smiled sadly. "Because your heart still feels?" "You were freezing. Outside, but not dead inside." Just then, the warm light in the tunnel began to flicker. Lyra's eyes widened. They found the edge of the field. A loud sound echoed down the tunnel, a metallic growl. The heat around them began to fade. Jake felt a chill crawl up his back. "What is that?" he asked. Lyra grabbed a small glowing stone and threw it at the wall. The wall turned transparent like glass. Through it, Jake saw shapes moving, tall figures in dark suits, scanning the area. "Run?" he asked. "No," she replied. "They'll follow. We must go deeper." She led him to a hidden door. It opened with a hiss. Inside, there was a dark spiral staircase. Jake hesitated. "Where does it go?" Lyra looked back. "To the memory vault. If you want answers, you'll find them there." He followed as they descended. The air changed. It wasn't cold or hot, it was heavy. As if they were walking through time. At the bottom, the walls were made of glowing crystal. Each crystal held images, faces, cities, planets. "Frozen in light, this is your world's forgotten past," Lyra said. "Your Earth is not alone, it never was." Jake touched one crystal. It showed a boy standing in front of a burning tree. The boy's eyes were like his. "That's me again," he whispered. Lyra nodded. "Another path? Another choice?" Jake turned to her. Then tell me, what am I supposed to do now? Lyra looked deep into his eyes. Choose, she said. Save me, and save your future. Or walk away, and let your world burn slowly without ever knowing why. Silence filled the room. Jake didn't know if this was madness or truth, but he knew one thing. He didn't want to be the man on that screen. He wanted to be the man she believed in. Deep underground in the memory vault, Jake stood still. Crystal walls glowed around him. Each one showed a different life, a different choice, a different version of himself. He turned to Lyra. You said I have to choose, but I don't know. How? Lyra walked to a glowing panel. You already chose when you followed me. Before Jake could reply, a loud, sharp sound rang through the chamber. Bzzzzzzzzzzz. A symbol on the wall blinked red. Lyra's face turned serious. They've entered the tunnel. Jake's heart pounded. How did they find us? They are not guessing, Lyra said. They are tracking you. Me? Lyra nodded. The moment I touched you? They marked your heat signature. Now they think you're like me. Jake looked at his hand. It was glowing faintly. Suddenly the ground shook. Boom, 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 footsteps. Heavy ones. Coming fast. We have to move, Lyra said. But before they could reach the staircase, a wall behind them cracked open. A hidden elevator opened with a hiss. Inside stood a tall man in a black suit. His face was calm. Too calm, Jake, he said. We need to talk. Jake froze. The man looked familiar. Do I know you? He asked. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Agent Harris, Earth Security Division. We've been watching you. Lyra stepped in front of Jake. He's not going anywhere. Harris tilted his head. And you must be Subject 47, the lost alien. Thought we'd never find you again. Jake's voice trembled. How do you know all this? Harris stepped out of the elevator. We've known about them for decades. Your world is not as innocent as it seems. Jake stepped back. You knew aliens were here all this time? Yes, Harris said, and we keep it quiet for peace. But not all of them want peace. Lyra spoke sharply. You don't want peace either. You want control. Harris ignored her. He looked at Jake. You have a choice. Come with me. You'll be safe, fed, warm, you'll be a hero, or stay with her. And disappear forever. Jake looked at both of them. Lyra, the one who saved him. Harris, the one offering comfort but with dead eyes. Jake's hands tightened. You knew about the other versions of me. The one who becomes a soldier. Harris smiled wider. We've seen the paths. You were always meant to serve a greater plan. You still can. Jake looked at Lyra. What happens if I go with him? He asked. She looked down. They will use your DNA, blend it with mine. Try to create a weapon, a human-alien hybrid. You will not be you anymore. Jake swallowed hard. And if I stay? You will run, fight, learn the truth, and maybe you will help save both our kinds. Jake looked at Harris again. I think I already made my choice. He turned to Lyra. Let's go. Harris sighed. A shame. Suddenly his hand moved too fast for a human. A small weapon appeared from his sleeve. He aimed it at Lyra. Jake jumped forward, knocking her down just as the blast fired. The beam missed by inches, hitting the wall. Sparks flew. The crystals cracked. Lyra rolled to her feet. Jake, run! No, he shouted. I'm not leaving you again. She raised both her hands. Her palms glowed bright. A wave of heat exploded from her body, knocking Harris backward. The elevator sparked and shut down. Now! She yelled. They ran through the side tunnel, deeper into the vault. Alarms began to scream. Jake gasped for air. He's not human, is he? Lyra shook her head. He was once. But now he is changed. They made him something else. They reached a locked door. Lyra pressed her hand to the wall. The metal melted away. Inside was a dark chamber. In the center floated a cube of light. Jake stepped closer. What is it? Lyra's voice softened. The code. The one they want. The one I was supposed to hide. Jake stared at the cube. It showed symbols, some alien, some human. Together they pulsed like a heartbeat. Lyra placed her hand on it. The cube sank into her palm. Her eyes lit up fully for the first time. They can't get this, she said. It will end both our worlds. Jake looked behind them. He could hear more footsteps. Where do we go now? He asked Dot. She turned to him. We go to the surface. I have one last signal to send. If it reaches my people, maybe, just maybe, there's still hope. As they exited the chamber, Jake looked back one last time. The cracked crystals, the broken timeline, the life he almost lived, he whispered, not this time, and ran into the unknown. Asterisk, the sun was rising. Jake had not seen sunlight in days. The city skyline shimmered in gold, but it looked colder than ever. He and Lyra stood on the rooftop of a half-destroyed building. Wind blew through broken windows. Below them, the streets were silent, but he knew they were being watched. Is this place safe? He asked. Lyra shook her head. Nowhere is safe. But this moment is. Jake looked at her. Her glow had faded. Her hands trembled slightly. Using the code had taken something from her. You're weak, he said softly. She smiled faintly. No, just tired of running. He sat down beside her. You said you had a message to send. She nodded. Soon, but first you must understand. Why they fear me, why they fear us. Jake frowned. You mean humans and aliens? No, she said. I mean anyone who remembers the truth. Jake looked confused. Lyra reached into her coat and pulled out a small, flat device like a glass stone. She placed it between them. This is a memory shard, she said. Not a video, not a file. It is experience. You will not see it. You will feel it. Jake hesitated. What if it changes me? It already has, Lyra whispered. She touched the shard. Light bloomed from it, soft, warm, silent. Jake blinked once and the world around him vanished. He was no longer sitting. He was standing under a sky of 2 moons. Snow fell gently, but it did not sting. The world was made of crystal mountains and glowing rivers. He was not himself, he was Lyra. He could feel her heartbeat, her thoughts, her fears. She stood in a temple of light. Around her, others of her kind floated in silence, their bodies shining. But there was no joy here. Only judgment, a voice boomed. You gave fire to the dying ones. You disobeyed. Lyra. Jake spoke back. They were children. Their son had died. I gave them heat, the voice roared. You altered a planet's fate. That is forbiddance. She fell to her knees. The memory was not just a vision, it was pain, real and sharp. Then, exiled. She was dragged into a ship, alone, no goodbye. No kindness. The memory shifted. Now he was falling through Earth's atmosphere, fire all around. Crashing into a frozen lake, hiding, healing, watching. Years passed. She learned human ways, laughed with them, cried with them, but never revealed her truth until she found a child sick, dying in the snow. She touched the boy, gave him warmth. He smiled. Then the Watchers came. Her location was exposed, that boy. Was the beginning of the end. The memory faded. Jake gasped and fell backward, eyes wide. He was back on the rooftop. His skin was cold, his chest tight. Lyra looked at him. Now you know. He said nothing for a long time, then whispered, They punished you for being kind. She nodded. My people are not evil, but they are afraid of change, afraid of love without control. Jake wiped his eyes. And you kept doing it, helping. I had to, she said. I saw hope in your kind. And now, I see it in you. Jake stood slowly. That message you want to send, what is it? Lyra reached into her coat and pulled out a thin, black disc. It's a beacon, a signal. It tells my people I still live. I still believe, and I'm not alone. She held it to the sky. The disc lit up. High above. Something blinked in space. Jake looked up. They'll come for you. They'll come for both of us, she said. But maybe they'll listen. This time. Suddenly, a sound echoed from the street below. Engines. Boots. They were here. Lyra hid the beacon inside her coat. Time's up? Jake looked around. There's no escape, she smiled. Then we don't run, we rise? Before he could ask what she meant, she grabbed his hand. Her body began to glow brighter than ever before. The rooftop cracked beneath them. Then They lifted into the air, not flying, rising on heat. The air bent around them like a shield. Bullets from below melted before they reached them. Soldiers shouted, but their voices were distant. Jake held tight. You said your power was fading. Lyra grinned through the light. It is, so let's make it count. They flew above the rooftops toward the city's edge. Behind them, drones followed. Ahead open land. Jake looked down. Where now? Lyra pointed toward the mountains. Somewhere they can't follow. Somewhere quiet, until the sky answers. Jake looked at her, eyes full of something new, not fear, faith, and in that rising heat. Two souls, one from Earth, one from stars, shared more than memory. They shared a mission. The mountains were silent. After hours of walking through cold forests and rocky paths, Jake and Lyra reached a narrow cave hidden behind thick vines. It didn't look like much, just a dark hole in stone, but Lyra stopped in front of it and whispered, "We're here." Jake looked confused. "This is it." Lyra nodded. The truth hides where the world never looks. They stepped inside. The tunnel was long and narrow. At first it felt like any other cave, cold, damp, empty. But as they moved deeper, the walls began to change. Strange lines ran through the rock, glowing faintly with blue light. Jake touched one. It pulsed under his fingers like a heartbeat. "What is this place?" he asked it. Lyra answered, "The last memory of a forgotten alliance." Jake looked at her, puzzled, before she could explain. The tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. And Jake stopped breathing. Hundreds of people stood there, not all human. Some had silver skin, others had no eyes, only smooth faces. All of them wore simple robes and stood silently, watching as Jake and Lyra entered. A tall figure stepped forward. He looked human, but his eyes were gold and his voice echoed. "You brought him here," he said to Lyra. "He needs to know," Lyra replied. Jake stepped back. "Who are all these people?" The man said, "We are the underground, refugees, scientists, peacekeepers from many worlds. We've lived here, hiding under your earth, since before your history began." Jake stared at them. "But why? Why hide?" "Because your world was not ready," the man said. "And those in power never wanted peace. They wanted profit." He waved his hand. A massive screen lit up across the cave wall. On it, images flashed. Human leaders shaking hands with alien creatures in secret rooms. Alien tech being loaded onto military trucks. Explosions on alien planets caused by Earth-made weapons. Jake's heart sank. This can't be real." Lyra looked at him gently. "It is. Your world made a deal long ago. Alien knowledge. In exchange for silence, but some of us didn't agree. We believed both worlds could learn, could share openly." The golden-eyed man continued, "But when we spoke up, we were hunted, silenced. We came here to wait, and to hope." Jake turned to Lyra. "Is this why you were exiled?" Lyra nodded. "I refused to stop helping humans, so they called me a traitor. But I never gave them what they feared most," Jake remembered. "The code." The man stepped closer. "The code is not just data. It's a bridge between species, between minds. If unlocked, it could end the control system or destroy everything." Jake swallowed. "And you think I can use it?" "You already touched it," the man said. "You carry part of it now. Lyra gave it to you when she saved you." Jake looked at his hand. The faint glow had never gone away. Suddenly the chamber lights flickered, alarms rang, a voice called out, "We've been found!" Everyone turned toward the tunnel. Lyra's eyes widened. "They tracked us again," Jake said. "How?" The golden-eyed man said, "There's a traitor among us." Panic filled the chamber. Refugees ran to hide. Some grabbed weapons, others shields. Jake felt his heart race. Lyra turned to the man. "Get them to safety. I'll handle this." Jake stepped forward. "Not alone," she gave him a quick look. "Then stay close." They ran toward the upper tunnel, toward the sound of footsteps. As they reached the entrance, they saw them, black armored soldiers led by Agent Harris. Jake cursed. "Him again." Harris smiled coldly. "You really thought you could hide?" "In the hole forever?" Lyra raised her hand. A heat wave burst forward, but Harris stepped right through it, untouched. "You gave him resistance," she whispered. Jake looked at her. You mean my energy? Lyra nodded. Yes, that's what they wanted, your hybrid form. Jake stepped forward. Then take it from me. Harris stopped. What? Jake lifted his hand. It glowed brighter than ever. You want the code? Come and try. Harris lunged forward. Jake touched the ground. A pulse exploded, blue and red heat racing across the floor. The cave shook. Soldiers flew backward. The ceiling cracked. Rocks fell. Screams echoed. Lyra grabbed Jake. We need to go. Now, they ran back through a side tunnel. Behind them, the chamber began to collapse. They didn't stop until they reached the far end of the cave system, where a metal door stood. Lyra opened it with her palm. Outside was a hidden valley green, silent, safe. For now, they stepped into the light. Jake dropped to the ground, gasping. Lyra knelt beside him. You're changing. I feel it, he whispered. Like something inside me is waking up. She touched his face. Good, because the real war hasn't started yet. Jake looked at her. What now? She stood. Now we gather allies. Asterisk, the hidden valley was calm. Birds flew quietly through the sky. The grass moved gently with the wind. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, a war almost began underground. Jake sat on a rock near a small stream. His hands still glowed faintly. The warmth inside him wasn't just Lyra's anymore. It was his own now. Lyra stood beside him, looking at the mountains. She seemed peaceful, but Jake could see the worry behind her eyes. We can't stay here long, she said. They will come again, Jake nodded. Then let's find the others. The ones who still believe in peace. Lyra turned to him. They won't trust easily, not after what happened. Jake stood up. Then we give them a reason to trust. Before they could speak more, a voice came from behind. You already have. Jake turned. A young woman with short black hair and silver eyes stepped out of the trees. She was dressed in a long coat, with strange tech around her wrist. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Who are you? My name is Rin, the woman said. I was part of the underground. Until they stopped believing in unity. I left before the betrayal. Jake stepped forward. You know about the traitor? Rin nodded. Yes, and I know who it was. Lyra's face changed. Who? Rin looked directly at Jake. Me. Silence fell like a stone. Jake's voice dropped. You? Rin raised her hands. Wait, listen, I didn't want to betray anyone. I only sent one signal. I thought it was a warning. I didn't know Harris would use it to attack. Lyra's eyes were cold. You knew they were hunting me. You led them right to us. I was trying to protect someone, Rin said quickly. My brother? He's still inside the agency. If I refused to help them, they would have killed him. Jake's hands clenched into fists. The warmth in his palms flickered. You still helped them. I regret it, Rin whispered, but now I want to help you. I know things, codes, roots, Harris's plan. Lyra didn't move. Her body glowed slightly. What plan? Rin looked at both of them. Harris doesn't want just the code, she said. He wants to start Project Nova. Jake frowned. What's that? Rin looked toward the sky. It's a satellite weapon system built using alien tech. It can target entire cities from orbit. If activated, it can wipe out any species, human or not. Jake felt a chill. And it's ready? It just needs one final trigger, Rin said. A living hybrid. Jake's heart sank. Me, Rin nodded slowly. Yes, that's why Harris let you live. That's why he kept chasing you. He wants to plug you into the system. You're the missing key? Lyra stepped forward. And if we destroy the system? Rin hesitated. Then Harris will activate the backup plan. He'll release the virus. Jake shook his head. What virus? A heat code virus, Rin said. It targets all beings with your energy signature. That includes Lyra. That includes anyone she's touched. Including you, Jake looked at his hand. The glow pulsed faster now. We're already marked, he said. Lyra looked up. Then we have no time. Jake took a deep breath. Where is the system? In the old skyport, Rin said. Hidden inside a weather satellite control tower. If we move fast, we can reach it before sunset. Lyra turned to Jake. You ready? Jake looked at both women. One had saved him. The other had betrayed him. But both now stood with him. I don't think ready matters anymore, he said. But I'm going. Rin tapped her wrist device. A map appeared in the air. This way, she said. By late afternoon, they reached the outskirts of the skyport. The building looked abandoned, glass cracked, lights broken. But Jake could feel the energy in the air. The heat, the pull of something waiting for him. They entered through a side door. The hallways were dark. Strange machines lined the walls, blinking softly. Every step echoed. Jake whispered, "Feels like a trap." Rin said nothing. They reached a control room. Inside, a tall glass chamber stood in the center. Cables ran from it to the ceiling. Jake stepped toward it. The moment his foot touched the platform, the room locked. Clanked. Metal doors sealed. Alarms blared. From the shadows, Agent Harris stepped out. "I knew you'd come." Jake turned sharply. "You planned this?" Harris smiled. "Of course." She made sure of it. He pointed to Rin. Jake looked at her. She lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "They still have my brother. I thought I could stop them after you got here." Jake's heart pounded. "You lied to us again." "I had no choice." Rin said, "But you still do." Harris raised a small device. "Step into the chamber, Jake. One touch and the Nova system activates. You'll be part of something eternal." Jake looked at Lyra. She shook her head. "You step in, and the world ends." Jake turned back to Harris and said nothing. Silence. For a few seconds, the control room stood completely still. Jake looked at the glowing chamber in front of him. Its glass pulsed with light waiting. Wanting him inside. Behind him, Agent Harris held the activation device. His finger hovered over the trigger. His smile was calm, cold. "You were meant for this," Harris said softly. "This is your destiny." Jake's hands shook. "Not from fear, but from something deeper. Choice." Lyra's voice broke the silence. "No, he chooses his own path." She stepped forward. Her glow was faint now, her body tired, but her eyes fierce with fire. "You tried to break him," she said to Harris. "But all you did was wake him up." Harris laughed. "Spare me the drama?" "He's not a hero, he's a battery." Jake looked down at his hands, still glowing, but dimmer than before. He remembered the cold street, the first time Lyra hugged him. The words she had said, "Take my heat." And now she was the one. Fading, he turned to Harris. "What happens if I enter that chamber?" "The system activates," Harris said. "Earth becomes the new center of the galaxy, energy, power, control." Jake shook his head. "And what happens to me?" Harris smiled. "You become part of it, forever." Jake turned to Rin. She stood near the door, silent. Tears in her eyes. "I didn't mean for this," she whispered. "I just wanted to save my brother." Jake gave her a small nod. "Sometimes saving one person means losing yourself." Lyra stepped closer to Jake. She touched his arm. Her hand was ice cold now. "You don't have to do this," she said. Jake looked into her glowing eyes. "You gave me your heat. You gave me your truth. Now let me give something back." He turned and stepped into the chamber. Bzzz. The glass closed behind him. Cables wrapped around his body like metal snakes. Harris raised the device, smiling like a king. "Now," he whispered. Click. A beam of light shot through the room. The ceiling opened. The sky above turned red. Clouds split apart as satellites locked on. Energy roared across the tower. The system was awake. Jake screamed inside the chamber, but not from pain. From memory. He saw faces his own in 1,000 timelines. He saw Lyra's planet, the war. He saw Earth, burnt, empty. He saw what was coming, and then he did something no one expected. He let go. He stopped resisting the energy. He let it pass through him, not control him. The machine began to shake. Sparks flew. Harris's smile vanished. "No. No, he's breaking the circuit." Lyra's eyes widened. "He's reversing the charge." Suddenly Jake's voice echoed loud, clear and deep. "I am not your key, I'm not your weapon." The chamber exploded with light. The energy beam shot backward up the tower into the sky. The satellites above overloaded. One by one, they burst like fireworks in the clouds. Harris screamed as his device melted in his hand. The floor cracked under him. He fell swallowed by fire and steel. The machine died. The tower groaned, ready to fall. Rin ran to the control panel. We have to get him out. Lyra didn't speak. She was already moving. The chamber doors burst open. Smoke poured out. Jake lay on the floor still, barely breathing. His glow was gone. Lyra knelt beside him. She touched his cheek. It was cold. No, she whispered. Not like this. She held him, close, tight, just like that first night in the snow, and then she said the words again. You are freezing. Human. Take my heat, this time. She gave him everything, her warmth, her light, her life. Jake gasped, his chest lifted. Color returned to his face, but Lyra was fading. Her glow drifted into his skin like soft fireflies. No, Lyra. Jake sat up. Holding her, she smiled weakly. You gave me something too. Jake shook his head. Stay, please. She leaned close. Her forehead touched his. Our story doesn't end here. It begins with you. And with a final breath, her body turned into light, pure golden light and flowed into Jake. Then, silence. Outside, the sky turned blue again. The world breathed. Days passed. The tower was gone. The agency was gone. News. Spread of a strange satellite. Failure, but no one knew the full truth, except for Jake. He stood alone on a rooftop, looking up at the stars. His hands no longer glowed, but something inside him did. He touched his chest. Warm, always warm. Rin stood beside him. She's part of you now, she said. Jake nodded. She always was. Rin looked at the sky. What will you do now? Jake smiled, exactly what she asked. He turned and walked toward the horizon. A new dawn rising behind him, and with each step the world changed, a little warmer,